Hello everyone, this is Jaden with FixYourFunnel. Today what I want to talk about is something that some of you may be familiar with, some of you may not be, but I want to talk about implementing SMS for lead generation. Specifically what I want to talk about is from the point of view of trying to gather the insurance leads. So whether I'm an insurance agent or a brokerage, trying to implement SMS and I want to use it for lead generation, we wanted to kind of cover that with you today. The first thing I want to cover is just talk about quickly some of the challenges facing the insurance industry as far as obtaining that lead and getting them to actually engage and come over. One of the biggest things is there being a disconnect between customers and the potential insurance agent or the brokerage that they may be looking to go to. And a lot of this may be coming from uneasy about the process, unsure about how the process works. There's an abundance of information. A lot of it can conflict with one thing or another. People are saying certain things, other people say a different thing, and it makes it so if you can't connect with someone live and get these questions answered quickly that you may have about your situation, you may just begin looking elsewhere. This is where some things where SMS and using it as a form of lead generation can kind of change the pace of how you're doing things. The other thing is a lack of trust from your potential customers. I was reading in a survey done by Trustpilot that about 30% of the people that they interviewed said that they think the insurance industry or insurance agents are untrustworthy. And another 24% said that they're somewhat trustworthy. So it's unfortunate that there's some bad apples out there putting all this distrust out there and making it hard for customers to know who to go with and making the whole process more difficult. That's where SMS can be used to overcome some of these challenges though. SMS, one thing, it allows you to increase the amount of touch points that you have through this process. One example I would say is using SMS to generate a quote more quickly. So using SMS to generate that lead, gathering information from them and allowing you to quickly give them a quote and connect with them regarding that process through a means of meaningful communication. So instead of me having to click around and navigate through a website, I'm able to just text back and forth and get the information I need and get the questions answered that I need answered. The other thing, obviously, is that it builds that trust there. Because I'm able to connect with someone live, I'm not having to worry about what's happening. I'm able to connect through those through those touch points, being interacted with as that process moves along in real time. So, being able to actually communicate in a quick form of communication like texting in a seamless manner is a lot more effective to me than trying to find an email that I may or may have not received or may have went to spam. I have no idea. But everyone has a phone number, everyone can see their text messages. So it's a quick and effective way to communicate with someone directly and it allows you to kind of start building that trust and putting that value out there. Some benefits of using SMS for lead generation outside of just using, and building that trust factor is there's multiple areas where you can deploy SMS as your form of lead generation. One example that we have here off to the right is if I'm using texting and using it as my form of lead generation inside of a Facebook ad. So you can see here we just have a simple Facebook ad with a call to action inside of it saying text insured to that phone number. That allows someone who's interested or looking at this product, they able to just text that keyword and instantly begin that process. There's not a lot of clicking around, not a lot of waiting for an email. It's I get to text it and then I get it to come back quickly. Outside of being able to use it for Facebook, I'm able to use it for live events. I know that's a little bit less common in nowadays simply because of everything that we have going on, but still, I'm able to use it in any live events. I'm able to use it in digital events like on Zoom webinars or just webinars in general. I'm able to use this text as a call to action in my webinars to get people to learn more information, to give people some policy options. Anything like that, I can use these keywords and I can use multiple ones. I can have different keywords for different situations, so I'm able to track where are my leads coming from and able to cater directly to them easily. The other thing is texting creates that environment that's quick to transition from. So quickly transitioning from an automated conversation where I'm texting this keyword, I'm getting these automated responses, I can quickly transition that from automated to a live conversation. Generally, my rule of thumb and the way that I see it used most effectively is just simply by doing 3 steps. And I'll show you a little bit more about what I'm referring to by steps, but essentially keeping the conversations short into 3 steps, and I'll explain a little bit more about how you use those steps here in a moment. The other thing about this, though, is in these steps, you're able to track those that don't finish or don't complete this conversation. And it puts you in a position where I'm still able to reach out. So whereas somebody gets on my website and leaves and I have a pixel attached to it, there's some things that I'm able to do there, but not quite the same as if I'm communicate with it through text, doesn't complete something. I'm in a different position than it just through websites and emails alone. It puts you in a position where I can track that and I can still communicate that through text and get their information or obtain more information or provide them with answers to questions or concerns that may have caused that, may have caused them to stop in the first place. So that's one of the benefits of being able to use this SMS option, especially with FixYourFunnel and Keep. I'm able to track all of that and use it to continue to reach out. Okay, this is what we were talking about a little bit before. So this is how SMS kind of works in a lead generation format. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm building these conversations that I'm using inside of my Facebook ads, my webinars. This is the back end of that. This is how that operates. I'm building these steps, and that's what I was talking about a moment ago. Whereas the most effective way that I see text messaging conversations used for lead generation is in a 3-step process: asking for their name, asking for the email, and then from there transitioning either into a survey or an open-ended question to begin engaging live, whether that be, getting them in touch with the insurance agent or a rep with my brokerage where they can begin answering those questions, providing some information about policies, quotes, anything like that they need to begin doing, and getting that information and making that connection and building that rapport, which we know is going to be important, especially where trust is a factor. We want to begin building and adding that value as quickly as we can. And the fantastic thing about these conversations is I can build multiple conversations like we talked about, and that cater to these different directions. I can have different keywords connected to different processes or different areas of my business where people might be interested or people who are starting out, and allowing me to cater my responses to that and know that on my end as well. Okay, so what I want to talk about now is some do's and don'ts about what to avoid and what to do when using SMS for your lead capture. The first thing, and one of the more important areas, is not to create a word wall. You've got to remember this isn't an essay. This is a quick process. The idea behind it is being able to quickly connect with the customer and provide them with the information. I don't want to send them 3 paragraphs of information. This isn't an email. This is a text message. We want it to be simple. So keeping your messages direct and to the point. Provide that value in as few steps as you can. So providing that value as quickly as you can, building that rapport as quick as you can, making that connection. Especially where trust is a factor, we want that connection to be made quickly. We want to put them in touch with someone they can communicate live, they can get their questions answered, so that they don't have questions about their policy or what policy options they have or what options they have in general. The other thing, we talked about it a little bit already, is don't overcomplicate the steps in the conversation. Keeping in that 3-step format of asking name, asking email, and then having my final step in here with either opening to an open-ended question and kind of engaging from there, or the other thing here is knowing when to move into a survey or a form. The big rule of thumb here is what information, so essentially what it breaks down to, is when do I need to capture more information for my customer to make that buying decision? And in insurance, that might come into play depending on what it is or what step or what process or what part of the process they're in. Maybe I need to get more information about their dependents, their income situation, all of that. And that is when I would want to move it into a survey. Taking it from a conversation, which you can do easily with FixYourFunnel, I can add surveys into my conversations there at the final phase of my conversation so that they can fill out that information quickly. I'm able to get all that information and I can provide them the response as quickly as possible. So knowing when to move into a survey versus moving into a live conversation. The important thing here is to not overcomplicate that conversation with adding all these questions into the conversation itself and dragging that whole process out. If I add it into a survey, it's a much quicker, seamless process than having 8 different text messages, 8 different responses I need from them for this whole process to be complete. So knowing when to kick it over into a survey is going to be an important factor here. The other thing to remember is this, like we've talked about a little bit already, is we want this process to be fast and simple. We want it to be a simple way of communicating and connecting with your customers. With insurance agents, we want it to be, let's say we want it to be a quick and easy process for me to get a quote or get information about the policy options that I have available to me. All of that type of information. So we want to make sure that's what we're doing here and implementing in webinars, Facebook, everything like that. So concluding this quick tactic video for you guys, I want to you guys just to remember that implementing SMS is going to create that seamless connection between you and your potential customers. It's going to help you alleviate some of that stress of not knowing whether to trust who they're talking to, because I'm able to engage with you directly, not engaging through email. I'm not navigating through your website. I'm not having to search all this information through myself. I'm able to connect with someone in a live, direct manner. And not to mention, you put that value there because I'm using a medium that I'm already using. So everyone has a phone, everyone's using texting, everyone texts all day. So instead of worrying about whether or not my email is going to spam, where they're actually opening it or not, I send them a text. I'm able to connect directly. Because the amount of people that just sit there and they're on their phone all day, it's a very high percentage. So it's a great way to connect directly. If you do have any further questions, like if you're trying to implement SMS and use it for lead generation in your insurance business or your brokerage or anything like that, you're welcome to try and go to FixYourFunnel.com and speak with our team through our chat option there. You can text us directly down here at the phone number 760-621-8199. You can call that number as well, but we'd be happy to talk to you more about your specific use case and some ways, or go more into detail about how you can be using those conversations to generate more leads. All right, thanks. See you next time.